So the question is, what is the story with those tests? Why do we use them? Most of the students taking the tests were fairly homogeneous. They were largely male, they were white, they were middle, or upper class, and they went to good schools and so on. But as the century progressed, three things changed. The first thing that changed is that the populations of students taking the tests became much broader. There weren't as many males, there weren't as many whites, there were people from diverse cultures, diverse linguistic backgrounds, diverse styles of learning. It was a different world. And that is, the tests were introduced to create a meritocracy rather than just using your parents' last name or how rich they were or what their social class was to do college admissions. But it turned out that the test scores were very highly correlated with socioeconomic status. So what looked like a replacement for socioeconomic status turned out to be largely more of the same. The people who make the decisions in many cases are people themselves who did well on the test, because otherwise they wouldn't have gotten into college and wouldn't have gotten the job. This is what I call pseudo-quantification. People are very taken with these exact sounding numbers, 570 or 26 or whatever. And what they forget sometimes is that just because you have an exact sounding number doesn't really mean it predicts very much.
That every question on the SAT is fair.
So there is no group that generally outperforms all other groups.
There is an achievement gap in this country, not just on any one test.
So the country's bad and the test isn't?
Well, the test is a fair test that helps mirror what's going on in the country.
Disagreeing.
It's interesting that even when income levels and education levels of the parents are the same, that you still have these disparities in SAT scores.
Exactly. No matter what the College Board says, the facts are the facts. Facts are that still students of color perform lower, and African Americans and Latinos perform lower on the SAT.
And again, the intentions here were good, because we do have underperforming schools, and there are major economic and racial disparities in the quality of education children receive. And anything that can help us narrow those gaps is obviously a good thing.
Standards. New York City just released their Common Core standardized test results. Take a look at this. In English and math, blacks were at 16 and 15% of a passing grade, Hispanics 16 and 19. Asian.
The problem has been the implementation, which uses this formula to assess teachers. A formula which looks like the kind of thing that aliens carve into an anti-Semite's cornflake, isn't it? Because at the risk of sounding like a standardized test scorer, your numbers are not good. And if it seems unfair to have your fates riding on a complicated metric that fails to take institutional factors into account and might not even tell the whole story, well, you're not wrong about that, but you do not get to complain about it.